Welcome to another day of Lord Meher book reading. We are on page 1046, and I've just come back from a trip from Meherabad, and I met the son of the person who wrote Lord Meher. So that was very exciting. And here I am. We're on page 1046, winding down activities. It is men such as he who really know me, and they do their entrusted duties lovingly and pleasingly. Such a life is worth living. On the other hand, there are hundreds who come to me with their hundreds of worldly problems. They do not really come to me, but they keep their distance by harboring the thousands of desires. It was quite a peculiar sight to see, as those who were with me will tell you, this thin, feeble, cracked looking man coming straight ahead toward us, making a reverential bow, then giving me a flower and walking straight back without so much as glancing sideways. It was a sight. And most strange to see was that after the man disappeared, everyone who noticed us, Hindu and Muslim alike, would also fold their hands to us. So my work now begins, and I once again warn you all to have your langoti tied tight for 24 hours. That is, to gird your lions and be ready to carry out all my orders fully. Stick to me during this journey until the end, for no one can tell what will happen. You know, I work according to my lahar whim. I am as strict as I am mild, and who knows what my whim will do or where my fancy will lead us. So, once again, I caution you to keep your langoti tight. Obey me for the next 24 hours. Otherwise, not only will you get a thrashing, but I will too. Believe me, what I am telling you is true. Don't ask why. There is a reason. You know well how much love I had for Aga Ali at first. I actually gave a party to all at Mehrabad when he returned for the first time. I kept him so near me for a certain period, then I gave him up. Keep him far from me for a long time, and actually did not see him for many days. Recently, I have kept him quite close to me. Now, again from today, I'm keeping him aloof and I'm not even touching him. There is a reason for this, of course, but let that be as it may, and listen to what I am telling you. All should not talk to him, Aga Ali. Do not even look at him and do not touch him. He is a very good boy if he is in a good mood, and a very bad boy if he loses his temper. His heart is very good, but his head is too strong. His love for me is excellent, but he is so obstinate that he will purposely do a thing which he is asked not to do. But don't mind that. Don't tell him not to do a thing, and he will eventually get tired and give it up. Now, in this journey, I will proceed on, even leave those who are unable to stick to me or follow me for some reason or the other. So try to stick to me. He whose langoti loosens along the way will be left in the lurch. I want a mountain to retire for to sec- to for I want a mountain to retire to for seclusion. But it is no use going back to the ones we have already crossed. Such a mountain will be found in Kashmir, and I will be there for 10, 12 days, keeping one or two of you like Bua or Chanji, sorry, Bao or Chanji with me for a few days. Chanji asked, will you show us the grave of Christ there? Baba replied that he would, and then continued, "Yes, I will show you such magnificent sights in Kashmir that you will be wonderstruck. But first, let us go there. Once I sit in seclusion and come out, I will shoot." Baba held his hand as if shooting a pistol. None of the Mandali could follow what he meant by this sign. "Only do as I say, even against your will and wish. Don't become excited or angry. This journey is of the utmost significance. So, as I said, stick to me till the end and go on doing as I order. Padri will drive the bus, Chanji will answer the correspondence, and Chagan will cook. Thus, all should continue their close contact with me. But remember these lines from a Persian poem: "The more I desire union, the more my beloved desires separation. I have therefore given up my desire for union. Now let the beloved burn me in the fire of separation as long as he likes." Baba again explained about Aga Ali and Ali Akbar. "Particularly, don't have any connection with the two boys, especially with Aga Ali. I must keep him closest to me, or I may keep him the furthest away. It will be as I choose. I only want him to progress in the path where, if he were to enter it, he will have achieved something. Otherwise, he may end up topsy turvy." Marian, would you like to read next?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
He is so energetic that he will. He is puffed up, prideful, but after all, he is only a boy. Whatever habit he may develop, be it good or bad, he will stick to it with the energy that abounds in him. And the chances of him turning bad are great, for there are many attractions. I am trying to keep Ali out of such habits in my own way. You don't need to think about it in the least, but listen to me and obey what I say. On 19 July, a man named Dotiwala had seen Baba taking a walk the previous day and came in the morning for darshan. He complained about the scanty rainfall in the area and the farmers' plight and probable heavy financial losses and famine. He requested that Baba bring rain. Just as he was stating his plea, a heavy shower began to fall, and Baba humorously rhymed, "You have got the near, water, and I have got the tear, arrow." Due to the downpour, they could not leave Guna as early as planned and left around 11:15, reaching Shivpuri in about 2 hours. In Shivpuri, they went to see Sakya Sagar Lake, and Rao Sahib took out a pair of binoculars and began scanning the scenery. Baba snatched the binoculars away and ordered Padri to throw them into the lake. Upset, Baba slapped Rao Sahib so soundly that Rao Sahib's face turned red. And scroll up. And he began shaking. Baba directed him to abandon the journey and leave the group. Rao Sahib was overcome and he momentarily lost his temper. Baba rebuked him. "Despite my warning, you have allowed your langoti to slip." Then winking, Baba joked, "Better pull it up. If it slips any further, people will laugh at you." Rao Sahib forgot his anguish and burst into laughter. Returning, all left for Gwalior, which they reached at 8:45 at night and stayed at the Park Hotel, On Saturday morning, 20 July 1929, Baba took a stroll with most of the Mandali. Meanwhile, Vishnu and Gustaji went to the market, and Shagan was busy cooking their meal in the hotel. At 10 o'clock, Baba took a guided tour of Gwalior Fort and paid a flying visit to the archaeological museum there. He admired the panoramic view from the top of the fort. There's a note.
Gwalior Fort, the city's most renowned landmark, stands on a steep mass of sandstone, dominating the surroundings. Its history dates back more than 1,000 years, and it has been a scene of momentous events, battles, and imprisonments. Please read.
After spending an hour there, Baba went around the city, visiting the shrine of the late Maharaja Madhav Rao, Scindia, and the zoo where Bengal tigers and lions were kept free and open in natural surroundings, encircled by deep trenches. Tigers take lakhs of years to take a human birth, Baba remarked. Bears are the most lustful among animals. Monkeys and gorillas are most advanced. They incarnate as human beings, first as savages. After lunch, they left Gwalior at 2 in the afternoon, reaching Agra that evening. At this point of the journey, as had happened in the past, Shagan was in a bad mood and not talking to anyone. In Agra, they stayed in the Empress Hotel in the cantonment area, and Baba remarked that they would stay in Agra for only a day. The next morning, Baba gathered the Mandali at about 8 o'clock. He questioned Shagan about his sour disposition, which had been gloomy since the previous day. Baba then stated, "This frequent losing of temper and being out of mood is of no use, particularly in the company of your master, whose will, wish, and word must be your law." Hafiz says, "I cherish my enemies and allow my friends to perish, but none dare question the wisdom of my wish." So whenever I tell you to do a thing, never question why. Only say, "Yes, sir." Not merely outwardly, but inwardly from the bottom of your heart, and act accordingly. That is your real service to your master, even if you know or pursue absolutely nothing of the path, meditation, and spiritual things. Only this service to your master enables you to enter the path, and it is superior to all other devotional and yogic practices. The disciple, Kalyan, knew absolutely nothing except literal obedience to every word of his master, Ramdas. Kalyan received his reward in due time, and so will you. It is rather you all who should together make every effort to keep me pleased always. That is your duty. But here, on the contrary, I have to humiliate myself to come and ask you each and every time when one of you is out of sorts, whether he is all right or not. I have to humor and pacify him, praise, flatter, and tickle him under the chin to bring him around. That is not at all good for you or Can you not do only this much for me? Just listen to my word and obey. Be a man if you keep a mustache. Otherwise, shave it off and act like a woman. Weak. Further addressing Shagan, Baba spelled out, take a drum and go to the bazaar and beat it like the eunuch that you are.
Thank you so much. Rosalie, would you like to read next?
Yes, thanks. Don't be a child crying for paltry things. Are you a 6-foot-tall baby or a full-grown man? Be a man. Don't stick to petty things. Don't get upset over trivialities. Even supposing you do have an excuse or a cause for provocation, and your mood is upset in the excitement of the moment, don't stick to that one petty cause and keep on brooding over it with swollen, puffed out, grumpy cheeks and a cloudy expression. Immediately after the excitement dies down, try to cool off and forget what happened. Take the cause of irritation out of your mind forever. Don't try to bring it back again and again to memory, harboring it and crying over it like a woman or a child. Immediately after you are angry, forget everything. Still, if you don't do it, what do I care and why should I? You all are well aware of my love for the ashram boys and the close connection I have kept with them for the last 2 years, avoiding one and all of you, Mandali and the outside world. But when the time came, I gave them up too, my most loving pets. I have also kept away from those who were devoted to me. In short, I cut off my connection even with those I loved best. So too, at any moment, I can disconnect with the rest of you who are with me now. Even at present, I have very little connection with you, being preoccupied with the 2 boys all day and night, playing with and teasing them. I come here to the Mandali's rooms only occasionally, once or twice. I need words. I think it's a little lower. But
during the day.
Can you pick up from here?
I'm looking.
It's the last paragraph and the middle of it. I come here to the Mandali only occasionally.
I come here to the Mandali's rooms only occasionally, once or twice during the day. And when the time comes, as it will, I shall cut off my connection with these 2 boys also, remaining quite alone by myself. Gradually, I have been cutting off all ties and connections. Likewise, mark my mode and taste for dressing. I wore that black comely coat with 100 patches for years. I also wore the chappals made by Kanoba Rao Gadekar until the last moment when the original material had been totally replaced. And now you see that I have had a new coat sewn and wear it with new shoes and stockings, keeping myself well dressed, spruce, and tip top. Quite the reverse of what I had been doing. And who knows, perhaps I may one day give up all these clothes and remain only in a langoti, or even stark naked. No one can tell. Sadgurus and perfect masters, even though realized, have their own ways of living and working. Baba Jan prefers to be well covered in a long robe, even putting rings around her fingers. Naraya Maharaj lives in right royal fashion like a king. Upasni Maharaj remains naked except for a gunny sack wrapped around his waist. So each one maintains some definite mode for a long time. My style is quite different. I often change my food and attire, and there are reasons behind it. Even this external mode of living has connection with my inner working for the world. Elaborating further, Baba explained, a Sadguru never sleeps in the ordinary sense of the word, but rests at a resting place between the sixth and seventh planes. Even though people may find him snoring, he is not asleep. It is next to impossible to come down from that state. A Sadguru alone can manage it. No one else can. That is the reason almost all masters select a quiet, separate, and aloof place for resting, which you call sleeping, where they will not be disturbed. For who knows, a kick from a master during his rest to one who disturbs him would be fatal. The person would be doomed. But apart from the different places of resting, the perfect master's modes of resting also differ. All Sadgurus do not act alike. Sai Baba would rest on a hanging platform high above the floor to avoid disturbance by anyone. While resting, Baba Jan and Upasni Maharaj would get up suddenly at even the slightest touch of a finger. Hence, they all rest at different solitary places to their liking in different ways. I am the same, avoiding the slightest cause of disturbance. Therefore, I advise you never to touch a perfect master when he or she is resting. I may and do tolerate disturbances occasionally, but other masters may not, and generally speaking, do not. And their one kick in that state would finish you forever, end up your life. Baba then consoled, end your life. And their one kick in that state would finish you forever, end your life. Baba then consoled Chuggan by remarking, because you get tired, your mood is spoiled. Wherever we halt in the course of our journey, you have to cook. And when the others are out on a walk or sightseeing, you cannot go because you are burdened with the duty of preparing our meals. But what can I do? It is your fate. How lucky you are to cook the food which I eat. And besides, I like the food you prepare.
Thank you so much, Rosalie. Mikhail, would you read next?
Okay. From 9 a.m. until noon, Baba took Shagan and the Mandali on a guided tour to see Agra Fort, the tomb of Noor Jahan's father and mother, and the Taj Mahal. In the evening, Baba went for a walk with the two boys, Rao Saheb and Kaka Shahane. The group left Agra for Delhi on Monday, 22nd July, 1929. They drove towards the telegraph office first, but Padri missed the turn and took them 10 miles out of the way. As a normal route, travelers proceed from Agra to Delhi through Masura, but Baba, for his own reasons, preferred going via Aligarh. For the first 10 miles, the road was muddy mess due to the heavy rains, so it took them more than an hour to cover the distance. At the village of Hasras, Baba ate lunch alone, stopping near Aligarh. Baba was in a distant mood and sat alone under a tree. He directed the Mandali to have their meal. While they were eating, Baba noticed Vishnu sitting with his shirt off. Baba asked him, "A cool breeze is blowing. Why are you eating without your shirt?" "It is the custom among Brahmins to take their shirt off during meals," Vishnu replied. This upset Baba and he snapped, "If you catch a cold or a cough, you will forget your custom soon enough. But if you consider your custom to be more important than my pleasure, there is no use in you remaining with me." Vishnu replied, "I don't believe in any custom, but it has become a habit. If it upsets you, I am prepared to stop it now for good." Holding food in one hand, Vishnu slipped on his shirt so hastily that the food spilled on his clothes. The other man burst out laughing, and Baba was pleased. "Farewell from today to an age-old custom and my habit since birth," Vishnu declared, and joined in the laughter. After lunch, they started for Aligarh, where Baba brought sweets for all. Once they were on their way again, Baba revealed that he had contacted the old man on duty there. The Mandali then understood why Baba had insisted on circuitous route to Delhi, though none had seen Baba make any outward contact in Aligarh. When they were only 10 miles from Delhi, Baba signaled the bus to halt. New page. Accompanied by Rao Saheb and the two boys, Baba walked for a little while along the road. The group reached Delhi at 9 that night and checked into the Raj Mahal Hotel. From 8 until noon that next morning, 23rd July, Baba set out with the Mandali and boys on a sightseeing trip through old and new Delhi, then to the Qutub Minar, all the way to the top, the Red Fort, and other places of interest. Baba pointed out a mass named Hafizji Nabina, who he revealed was a spiritual chargeman of Delhi.
Baba contacted this mosque several times in 1939 and 1941.
Baba's mail had been forwarded to Delhi and it was brought from the post office. Baba replied to the letters. He sent Chagan to Pandharpur with Kaka Shahane, instructing Chagan to remain there and fast for 7 days. Leaving Delhi on 24 July, the group arrived in Ludhiana, around 7 p.m. after covering 191 miles in 10 hours. Baba informed the Mandali, the one on duty here is blind. In Shagan's absence, Padri cooked their meals and other Mandali helped. Only one room was available in the dak bungalow, which Rao Saheb occupied with the boys. Baba slept in the bus and the Mandali in the garage. The following morning, they left towards Lahore, reaching Amritsar at 11 o'clock. Amritsar is the main city of pilgrimage for the Sikhs, and Baba viewed the magnificent gold-plated golden temple from a distance, outside in the large compound, but he did not enter the shrine. They left Amritsar and reached Lahore at 2:30 that afternoon, staying at the Empress Hotel. There was a ban on bus traffic within the city, so they had to walk 7 miles to find a place to eat. Padri had not cooked that day since he was too busy clearing the bus with Vishnu. On 26 July, they stayed at the hotel the whole day. Baba spent the day listening to records and playing cards with the Mandali. In the evening, he went for a stroll with Rahu Saheb, Aga Ali, and Ali Akbar. This was the first occasion during the journey they had stayed in a decent hotel and were comfortable. Scrolling up. Then he stated to the comfortable, yes. Baba remarked, today Amiri, wealthy, tomorrow Fakiri. Then he stated to the Mandali, you must learn to accept every type of life and have equipoise in all situations and circumstances. Every situation is, after all, a temporary situation and liable to change. So remain detached and not influenced by change. Be steadfast and changelessness. New page.
Thank you. Eugene, could you read next? Eugene,
Yes,
could you
turn the page,
Yeah,
please.
yeah.
Thank you, darling. Both lunch and dinner were taken in the dining room of the hotel, as can be imagined for the Mandali, as Chanji noted in his diary ironically, to be seated in a formal dining room, being served by a retinue of waiters and eating delicious fare off china plates with spoons and forks was quite a change from their usual meager wayside meals under a tree. On Saturday, 27 July 1929, they left Lahore for Rawalpindi, which they reached at 4:15 p.m., and then spent hours trying to find somewhere to spend the night. There was no dak bungalow, and the places they saw were filthy. They ended up spending night at a sarai, camped underneath a tree, quite the opposite of the experience they had had the day before, when they had rested 2 nights in a fine hotel. The Mandalis slept on the ground in the open, while Baba slept in the bus alone. Leaving Rawalpindi the next day, they stopped at 1 p.m. for lunch at the Imperial Hotel in Muri. They arrived at the Kohala Dak bungalow that evening. It was a continuous ascent to Kohala through the foothills of the Himalayas. So driving was slow and arduous, but the scenery was spectacular. Several times, Baba and the men got down to admire the mist on the mountains, but they had to get down several other times as well to push the bus, which had become stuck in the mud. By the time they arrived at Kohala, the men were exhausted. They left again early in the next morning. On the banks of the Jhelum River, they came across a wonderful looking old man who appeared to be a beggar, but whose face was exceptionally bright. The old man stood up as their bus passed and folded his hands in obeisance without saying a word. There was a sliding window between Baba's cabin and the driver's seat for Baba to instruct Padri. After traveling some distance, Baba signaled from his sliding window to halt the bus on a bridge between highway stones number 10/9 and 10/11. Baba got down and taking off his coat, he viewed the surrounding mountains and valleys, remarking, "This place is beautiful. Here blows the breeze of the path." Baba went to a nearby stream and putting his hands in the flowing waters, he drank a few mouthfuls. He then stated, "If I fail to find a suitable spot for seclusion in Kashmir, I will return here to a mountain and stay in an improvised hut while the Mandali remain below at a house in the valley." They reached Uri at 6 that evening. Although it was quite cold, Baba did not wear his coat the entire day. He cooked dal and personally served it to each in the group. While on tour, Baba usually remained incognito, but at the customs house in Domol, a Punjabi customs officer recognized Baba and took his darshan. He was given a booklet and a copy of the MEHER message. They left Uri at 7:30 Tuesday morning, 30 July 1929. But after going some distance, Baba directed Padri to turn around. Back in Uri, Baba ordered Padri to stop near a blind boy. The boy was worshipped by the local people who believed him to be an advanced soul. Baba lovingly placed a cotton scarf in the boy's hand. They then left and reached the city of Srinagar in Kashmir. At 20 minutes past noon, they lodged in houseboats on Dal Lake near the city. The story behind their accommodation is noteworthy. The night before Baba arrived, the 4-year-old son of Sultana, the owner of the houseboats, saw the master in a dream. The boy heard Baba speak to him, "I am God, and tomorrow I am coming to stay in your town." The next morning, the boy excitedly narrated this dream to his mother, but she only smiled in amusement. When Baba reached the lake, the boy saw him from a distance and pointing to him shouted, "This is the same God I dreamed of last night." Baba stopped by Sultana's boat and the boy's mother informed him of her son's dream. So Baba stayed in their houseboat and the Mandali in another nearby. The news soon spread and all the boatmen gathered to meet Baba. They prayed to him to set foot in their houseboats. So that day, Baba visited many boats and sat for some time in the houseboat of their leader, Karim, who said he had seen Baba's photograph in an English booklet. Parentheses, His Holiness Mayor Baba and Mayor Ashram by Dastur, close parentheses, the year before. At night, the boatmen returned and sat around Baba. Musical records were played and the 4-year-old boy gave a dance performance. All the Kashmiris were joyous to be in the master's company.
Thank you so much, Eugene. Marvin, would you like to read next? If you can see the screen.
On the morning of 31 July, Baba visited the boat where the Mandali were staying. He became upset when he found that his breakfast had not yet been prepared. The men's moods turned sour because Baba had not told them to have his breakfast ready. In reaction, he took them to task. Learn to put up with all sorts of difficulties, and don't expect me to pat you and humor you all the time. If you behave like this, Your staying with me will be useless. Put up with these difficulties for days until I enter, and thereafter do as you please if you want to enjoy yourselves. Added, serve me now, take my darshan 1,000 times a day if you wish. Life has no real certainty. There is no knowing what may happen tomorrow. Changing the subject, Baba explained about Kashmir. In Kashmir, there is a balance between the powers of God and Maya. That is the way it should be. Where there is the real I, God, results of actions cannot hurt you. But in Maya, the result of actions become bindings. For example, take the confluence of two rivers. The river is independent, it flows by itself, but where there is a junction of two rivers, it is fettered. Kashmir has a Maharaja, a king. He has made laws for the Kashmiris, and they have to obey them. These laws are for the good of the common people, but for his own close ones, there is freedom from these laws. They take life easy. Similarly, in many respects, you are also free staying with me. Afterward, Bao Sahib find a place for Baba's seclusion. Finding fault with Vishnu and Rao, Baba slapped them for eating without permission. Situation calmed, Baba and the group sat under a tree for breakfast and tea. They then went to the areas of Anantag, called Islamabad, and Aksabal, where Baus had been sent, and Baba selected a spot for seclusion. But as they could not get permission to stay there, they went to Padi Marhan, a hill where Baba selected a cave. Leaving the place, they descended the valley and sat by a brook. Baba gave water from the flowing stream to the boys and Mandali by cupping his hands and pouring a little of the water into their hands. The next day, Thursday, August 1st, 1929, Baba went to see the cave near Lake Manaspal. He did not approve of the place. He then proceeded to Nisa and Shalimar. Though the mountains and scenery were magnificent around the lake, Baba did not like the cave either. He next went to Harvan Lake, 13 miles outside Srinagar. There was an archaeological hill near the small village there. He liked the view of golden meadows and mountains, but expressed his dissatisfaction with the spot chosen and returned to Srinagar. The lord of the Harvan property approached soon after and expressed his desire to place his land at the master's disposal. Baba accepted his offer and ordered a hut to be constructed on a hill. He remarked to the Mandali, "This place is very good, but I will be disturbed from morning to night if the local people find out that I am staying there. They will make pilgrimage to me there." Meanwhile, a telegram arrived from Nasik informing Baba that Kaikushru Masa's relatives, worried that Kaikushru Masa would gift his business and property to Baba, had kidnapped Masa and forcibly taken him from Nasik to Bombay. That day, Baba remarked that it was a serious matter, but that no one had cause to worry about Masa. Baba distributed fruit to all, urging them, eat it and be free from anxiety about Masa. Baba returned to Harvan the next morning with Ramju, Sahib, the boys to settle the details of going into seclusion there. Baba planned to leave the houseboat and go to Harvan the following. He discussed what the Mandali's food and living arrangements would be while he was in seclusion. At one point, Baba remarked, "Leaving Venice tomorrow, we will go to Palestine." Footnote.
Baba's remark, in addition to being an allusion to Srinagar's houseboats, may also have referred to his lifetime as Jesus. He once commented that Jesus had journeyed during his travels as far west as Venice, when it was part of the Roman Empire. St. Mark's in Venice is considered one of the four spiritual centers of Europe, along with Assisi, the Ligurian coast of Italy, and Avila in Spain. Continue, please.
Baba came to the Mandali's boat to bath, but finding his water not yet warm, he slapped Ramju and Bausab. After the water was properly heated, Chota Baba and Gustaji assisted him in bathing. Later, Baba became upset and beat him also. Baba remarked, "Your grave will be here in here." The significance of Baba's remark to Chanji will be seen later on. The boatman's wife came for Baba Darshan and wept. Baba blessed her. "Your luck has changed." To her husband, Sultana, Baba presented his new black coat.
Thank you, Marvin. Catching hold of Baba's feet, the man cried like a child. That night, the boatman's wife played the sitar to entertain Baba. On Saturday morning, 3rd August 1929, Baba and the Mandali set out for Harwan at 11 a.m. Many of the boatmen gathered for his darshan. Baba consoled them. Have faith in God. He has his eye on everyone. He forgets no one. But you should also not forget him. Baba presented a shawl and a woolen sweater to Karim, and the man was overcome and wept. Each person asked for Baba's photographs and lockets, and those were given. Baba's love and compassion had affected every heart, for everyone was weeping as if one of their closest relatives were about to depart on a long journey. Two small cottages were rented below the Harvan hill, one of the Mandali and one for the boys. A hut for Baba was being erected 500 feet up the side of the hill. Baba was to remain in the hut, and two of the Mandali were to stay next to it. The rest of the group would be housed in the cottages below. When they arrived at Harwan, Baba climbed up the hill to inspect the work and returned after an hour. Looking down at the valley, observing the poor villagers, Baba remarked, "For years on end, these Kashmiris don't take a bath. If you people miss a bath for just 4 days, you begin complaining. The same applies for your food and clothing. It all depends on habit. You're getting habituated to putting up with troubles and difficulties and small matters. Now that I'm going to retire up the hill in seclusion, one trouble after another will arise, but I will deal with them." Baba then again put on his patched Kamli coat, and from the Mandali's cottage he climbed the hill with Rao Sahib, Chanji, Busa Sahib, Ramju, Chota Baba, Aga Ali, and Ali Akbar. Returning, all spent a freezing night in the cottages below. Baba gave his carpet to Aga Ali to sleep on. Padri was appointed to cook the meals, and Janji was to carry the food to Baba. Rao Saab and the boys, the other Mandali, would come down to the cottages for their meals, except for Bausab, Gustaji, and Janji, who were to be the watchmen and would have to spend the whole night on the hill. The next day in the Mandali's cottage, Baba asked Ramju if he was a human being or an animal. Taken aback, Ramju answered, a human being. Baba then gave this discourse about the human form and its attributes. The human form is the last form in evolution, and it is the highest. Although it is the last and the highest form in creation, it is still full of animal desires and lower qualities, such as eating, drinking, envy, hatred, anger, lust. These blemishes are there because the human form has evolved through and out of creation. And in this evolving, all the faults and defects that are in animals are also in human being. But this is not the whole story. Side by side with these lower qualities, a human being has created in himself a certain higher angelic qualities, such as being able to free himself from the base desires, and has the attributes of kindness and grace. In an ordinary human being, there is a mixture of almost half and half of the lower animal qualities and the higher angelic ones. Although both must be destroyed before realization, the lower qualities first vanish. The disappearance of these lower qualities then makes a man capable of further advancement in angelic ones. Eventually, the angelic qualities are also destroyed and man becomes one with God. So, to be a human being does not only mean to be born in a human form with the lowest animal qualities still sticking to it, a human form with the animal qualities destroyed and the angelic qualities developed, that is a real human being. But even that is not the perfect state. Angelic qualities developed to the highest degree still do not make a perfect being. The angels are free from the lower animal qualities and possess higher qualities of godliness. But they have no love, real love for God, which makes one worthy of union. Angels, of course, have love, but it is in their nature. They have what can be called natural love, which makes them higher than human beings. But being devoid of love for God, angels cannot realize God. For that, they must assume human form with these higher qualities developed. In human form alone can create can they create love for God, qualifying them for attainment of God realization. Realization of God can never be attained without the human form. Baba then again addressed Ramju and mentioned, now tell me whether you are a man or human. Ramju replied, it seems that I am part man and part beast. But I do not understand fully what the natural love of angels is. What do you mean by that? Baba spelled out. It is like this. A mother loves her child. She does not have to cultivate her love. This feeling of hers just happens and it's natural. But it's not love for God. So also, the love of the angels encompasses many virtues, but it is not love for God. It is inborn in them, innate, and that is why it is called natural love. Baba then spoke about freedom from desires. As long as a person is not free from desires, he is not ready for emancipation. Desires, both good and bad, are binding. Good desires bind a person with golden chains and bad with iron ones. Why do you feel restless? Because you have 1,000 thoughts of wife, children, and the world. One should be free of wishes and desires. But they are there. What creates them? What desires these desires And what thinks these thoughts? The mind. As long as desires persist, there is no freedom. One who is completely desireless becomes the king of kings. But people have no idea how to become desireless. Freedom from desires is real life. One has to go beyond desires to enjoy freedom. This freedom can never be imagined. It is beyond the mind. The mind creates desires, and as long as the mind continues and does not die, a person cannot extricate himself and enjoy freedom. The soul is like a bird. When all desires vanish, the bird's eye open. It sees God and becomes one with Him. I am that God whom the bird sees when its eyes open, but desires blind the bird and it cannot see me, though I am standing right in front of it. Continuing, Baba said, bliss is something quite distinct from happiness and misery. Happiness and misery are gained through experiences of the mind. Bliss is something totally different. After the death of the mind, what the soul gains through God is bliss. Happiness and misery are due to the mind, while bliss exists on account of the soul. Bliss cannot be described, it cannot be grasped, it is to be experienced. But why is there always suffering and not happiness? One of the Mandali asked. You simpleton, I'm trying to tell you that there is nothing like suffering. It is the mind that creates the pain and misery. In reality, neither happiness nor misery exists. Only bliss is real, which the soul enjoys after emancipation. So, to attain emancipation, first destroy the mind. First free yourself and then enjoy bliss. Become one, merge with the bliss. What is the meaning of God realization? It means to become one with God. By thinking and imagining, one can never become one with God. Union is possible only after the death of thoughts and imagination. The mind must die. But how is that? How is a person to know that he has realized God? Someone posed. It is automatic. You are a human being. Do you ever think to yourself, am I a human being? You do not ask this because you are a human being. In the same way, once a man realizes God, he spontaneously knows that he is God. He has the full experience of it by personal experience. Being in the mood, Baba continued. The difference between God and a man is more than between heaven and earth. Man is bound by cravings and desires. You eat and drink, and whatever you do binds you. I too eat and drink, but I'm quite free. Animals also eat and drink, but so do men. Is there no difference between the two? There is a vast difference. Similarly, there is a difference between you and me. You are humans, I am God. A man has full faith in me today and sticks to me. But if tomorrow his thoughts change and he goes against my wishes and orders, becomes a turncoat, slanders, and loses all faith in me, still I will be as I am. The change has taken place in him, not in me. I'm always changeless. I am ever equable. For instance, look into the mirror. It will reflect you as you are. If you're serious, you look serious in the mirror. If you're smiling, you'll be seen smiling. If you contrast your features, you'll be seen with your face contoured. If you laugh, you'll be seen laughing. The difference will be in you, not in the mirror. There is no change in the mirror. The change is in your facial expressions. The mirror is changeless, immovable, and always steady. Marianne, would you like to read next?
Did you say Marion?
Yep.
I too am like a mirror. The change you observe is in you, not in me. I am always so constant and still that it cannot be imagined. We have talked enough. Now listen carefully. You never do as I say. Try to listen attentively this time. Today is the 4th of August, and my work will start from today. So do not bother me with your difficulties of cooking or any other problems. You manage everything yourselves. Soon after, Rao Sahib brought a young Kashmiri boy named Pandit Mohammed Kandar. Earlier that day, Pandit had ardently requested Baba's darshan. Baba called him and observed. His heart is pure, he is clever and innocent. Baba inquired of Pandit if he wished to ask him anything. No, sir, not now, the boy said politely. I will come back some other time. All right, come within half an hour or 1 hour, but do come back, Baba said. But instead of leaving, Pandit sat down. Baba then asked, do you want to finish school? Do you want a job? Do you want mukti? I want devotion to God, Pandit exclaimed. This is the best choice, Baba replied. I will give it to you. Don't think about it. Pandit then touched Baba's feet and left, saying that he would come back. Many came for Baba's darshan that day, but granting it to only a few, Baba directed the mandali to tell the others to leave. On 5th August, another telegram from Rustam was received, informing Baba that Kaikushru Masa's whereabouts were unknown. A reply was dispatched to Nasik, urging Rustam to find Masa. Later that day, Baba disclosed, I've decided to be in seclusion here in Harvan for 40 days, so be prepared. Make sure you buy sufficient supplies to last that long.
Thank you, Marianne. Jay, could you read next?
Yes. On Tuesday morning, 6 August 1929, Baba went up the hill at 9 to inspect the work with Rao Sahib, Ramju, and the boys. The hut was almost completed and preparations were made for Baba to sit in seclusion from the following day. The hut was very small. It consisted of a single narrow room with just sufficient space for Baba to lie down. The roof jutted out on both sides, forming a shelter for the two mandali who were to keep constant watch outside. Baba intended to lock himself inside the room. The area surrounding the hut was a known tiger haunt, and Chanji told Baba that he had heard in the village that there was danger of being attacked. Baba replied, "Don't be afraid. I am here. At the most, what will the tiger do? He will eat you. But your living will then be worthwhile since you sacrificed your life while serving me." The local Kashmiris were a sincere lot, and Baba permitted them his company while he was there. Most were Muslims. Baba gave general talks and explanations most evenings. About saints and perfect ones, Baba stated, "Those who come down after realization are the greatest." Before going up the hill and entering seclusion on 7 August, the following orders were issued by Baba. No one should take Baba's darshan or touch him from today. No one should come near Baba's hut except Gustaji and Bua Sahib, who will keep watch near the hut. Ramju should go to them with the mail and telegrams. After delivering those, he should go back down. Only Gustaji and Bua Sahib can answer when Baba calls. No one should touch Chota Baba. He will be with Baba inside the hut, but will come down for his food and tea. No one should speak with the boys, Aga Ali and Ali Akbar, nor touch them or have any connection with them. No one should go to the boys' cottage, and the boys should not visit the Mandali's cottage. Only Chanji was allowed to carry Baba's messages to the Mandali. He was ordered to fetch meals for Baba, Rao Sahib, and the boys and take the empty vessels back. Baba then remarked about the nature of this seclusion. God is within and without, manifest. He is both. The situation here is the same. Two, myself and Abdullah are inside in seclusion or within, and two, Gustaji and Bua Sahib are outside. This means half within and half without. Looking out at the landscape, Baba then revealed, the place where I have chosen to remain in seclusion is connected with Christ. His body is buried near here. In the afternoon, after giving the Mandali certain other instructions, Baba had the orders which he had given to the Mandali in the morning read out to the boys. Afterward, Baba explained the value of his touch. At first, I stopped speaking. Then I ceased writing. And now I don't touch money. In spite of all this, I have permitted numerous people to take my darshan and have willingly and lovingly embraced them also. I was repeatedly telling you all to make the most of this opportunity while touching is allowed. I was allowing you to massage me, to press my feet, take darshan, and have my embrace. Thus, in any and every way, you were having my touch. This physical touch is priceless, and I had also warned you that afterward you would not have the benefit of it. You will have to cry for it. Only then will you grasp the importance of this touch and appreciate its value. So take advantage of it while there is still time, before it is too late to lament. Some heeded me and benefited at the time, but most let the opportunity slip through their fingers. Now the time has changed. For 40 days, there will be no touch, and there's no telling whether it will be resumed thereafter or not. It may or may not be. If I decide, I may eat, drink, bathe, and permit you to comb my hair. But if not, I may give up everything to such an extent that I will get rid of my clothes and remain only in my langoti. And if I wish so, I may discard that also and remain quite naked even in public. If the latter happens, there will be no permission at all for touch. Pointing to Aga Ali, who wanted to embrace Baba and had wept about it the previous night, Baba stated, when you had the chance to touch me and I was embracing and kissing you, you put on airs and were coquettish and thereby lost the chance. Now, what is the use of crying? If you neglected the opportunity and were hesitant when embracing was allowed, there is no use crying now. But after all, what is there in touch? Inner love has nothing to do with the outer body. If you have that feeling and love, it is enough. It is quite sufficient. My dear children, you boys may remain near me, a privilege not permitted these days to any of the Mandali. Thus, remaining around me now, you have the freedom to either dig the cave you intend carving out near my hut as a sign of perpetual remembrance for posterity, or you may sit here or walk around the area. If I'm in the mood, I may call you, Ali, to play the phonograph, which will be my whole and sole life there in the hut. At times, I may even ask you, Ali, to make tea for me. For the last 2 days, you have seen me prepare tea for everyone and cook me meal cooked the meal yesterday. Chota Baba has no work to do except to stay with me. He will leave only for his tea and meals. Otherwise, he will remain by my side day and night. He will have no duty, nor will he have my touch, but he will remain with me inside the hut. This is for his benefit, and no one should salute him or touch him either. I will mostly rest during the daytime inside the hut and do my work at night. No one should come to take my darshan, even from a distance. If at all I send for anyone for work, he should be careful not to touch me. Continuing, Baba explained, why no touch? There is some great purpose behind it. It is said, to be a lover is not easy, yet it is more difficult to become the beloved. I should say most difficult. Many can become lovers, but very, very few, almost none, can become the beloved. The reason is that a lover gives up his body, mind, spirit, soul, in short, his very life for the beloved, who is not an ordinary common beloved. A murshid, master, is no ordinary being and beloved. He is the knower of everything. He can order his lover to do anything at any time, which gives rise to doubts in the mind of the devotee. Such doubts bring about his undoing, and the lover fails the beloved. Once, a murid, lover, follower, was sleeping by the side of his master. After a short time, the murid awakened, and finding the master sleeping soundly, he sat in reverence by his side. All of a sudden, the master had a nocturnal emission and woke up. To cleanse himself, he went to the river to bathe, quietly returning to his bed and went to sleep again. To the utter amazement of the murid, the master gets continual discharges throughout the night, 75 times, and each time he woke up, went for a bath, and again lay down and fell asleep. Seeing this, doubts assailed the disciple. How could a perfect master suffer from wet dreams, and so many times? The next morning, the master did not say anything and quietly went to his mandali. There, in the presence of all, including the doubting disciple, he declared that he had had as many as 75 nocturnal emissions that night.
Thank you, Jay.
Thank you.
Hearing this, all were silent in deep thought. But a clever fellow among them said, Master, because you are connected with everything in the universe, you had these discharges, just as you answer the call of nature. But you eat and drink like an ordinary man. Thus, you also had those emissions since you have connection with your physical body system. It is natural because you have a body in contact, in touch with everything. But the master said, it is not so. These nocturnal emissions did not happen due to any physical reason, nor because my body has connection with everything. It happened for the benefit of you, my close disciples. What doubts did this unimportant event raise in your minds? You even doubted my mastership. Had you full faith in me, you would not have had such thoughts. True faith should be rock like, unwavering. I wanted to test your faith, and I find you lacking in faith despite so many years of my contact. Baba further elaborated, the love of the beloved is not commonplace or ordinary. His fancy or lahar, whim, his mood and actions can create in a second doubts in the minds of his lovers. Where there is doubt, there is not love, as doubt and love cannot live together. The lover who has doubts about his master has no love for him. Kalyan and Arjuna were the beloveds of their beloved masters, Swami Ramadas and Krishna, but Jesus had none. The avatar descends on earth for his beloveds. his real lovers, and he works for them side by side with his working for the entire universe. But it is not necessary that all avatars must have a beloved. Zoroaster lived some 6,000 years ago. His master was a Jew Israelite. But what the world knows about the religion that came from him is practically nothing. All these Zoroastrian rites, rituals, and ceremonies have come down from the Dasturs, priests, and Zoroaster's followers who began them centuries after his death. For example, those emblems of Zoroastrian religion, the Sadra and Kusti, are the outcome of the preachings of the Dastur centuries after Zoroaster's advent. It has no connection with his teachings. They are nothing but after creations. I'm telling you the absolute truth. Zoroaster was the greatest Sufi. He was the father of Sufism, and its very foundation owes its creation to him. And on that note, we will end today's book reading on page number 1066. And we are welcome to have a small chat and discussion. Thank you.
In 1066 AD, was it William the Conqueror took over England?
I don't know.
Why don't you look it